There is a large gap in understanding between the average consumer and what policymakers know will happen. There's a lot of subtle, incorrect suggestions that inflation is transitory, meaning that overall, price levels will fall back to prior levels. That is 100% false. Overall price levels will never fall back to what they were pre-inflationary crisis, as that would be the economic definition of deflation, which is catastrophic. Let's explore why even the high earners are living paycheck to paycheck in 2024. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. More than a third of Americans earning at least $250,000 annually say they are living paycheck to paycheck, underscoring how inflation is taking a bigger bite out of Americans' budgets at all ends of the pay spectrum. Some 36% of households, taking in nearly 4 times the median U.S. salary, devote nearly all of their income to household expenses. It's particularly true among millennials, who are now in their mid-20s to early 40s. More than half of top earners in that generation report having little left at the end of the month. Housing expenses, which typically take up large chunks of the budgets of wealthier people, have skyrocketed after the pandemic. For example, in Orange County, California, a top-tier home cost $1.7 million in April, up from $1.2 million in February 2020. Based on Zillow data, a mortgage on that house, assuming 20% down payment, would cost about $100,000 per year. That's 40% of a $250,000 annual pre-tax income. Top earners, even those struggling to pay the bills, are of course much better off than the rest of the nation, which is facing soaring prices from everything from food to gas and electricity. If you look at this chart of median home prices in the US going back decades, you'll notice that prior to 2000, prices only increased about 3 to 4% per year on average, on pace with the average annual rate of inflation. You'll also notice that the price line is relatively steady with an upward bias from the 1960s to the end of the 1990s. Then, after that, the price line starts to get more volatile, and after the 2000 tech wreck recession, the annual price jumps routinely, getting much greater than the pace of inflation. Higher single-digit or double-digit annual increases in prices followed by the 2008 crash, but then a resumption of historically abnormally large annual gains. And then after COVID, the price line goes almost vertical. So what changed after the end of the 1990s? The Federal Reserve started engaging in monetary and interest rate policy driven by a different goal than their previous ones. Traditionally, the Federal Reserve was driven by keeping price stability and unemployment low. However, in the wake of the 2000 tech wreck and ensuring recession, the Fed adopted an unofficial approach: reinflate risk assets and investments and keep real estate inflated. In reality, all that was a fancier term for trickle-down economics. Basically, if the Fed could pump up the prices of stocks and real estate regardless of economic fundamentals, those who own those assets, the top 10%, own 90% of stocks and total land, would feel richer and spend more. And that would supposedly create general prosperity for all. So what we have is a policy since 2000 where every recession or economic downturn has been met by the Federal Reserve as a call to pump up stocks and real estate prices as the cure. Price discovery and economic fundamentals be damned. And now, here we are, with the price distortion so large that housing prices are completely out of reach for the average wage earner when interest rates are normalized. And the only way to make them affordable again is to once again slash interest rates to near zero. Not only that, but a comfortable retirement was stolen as well. People used to have defined benefit plans that took care of them when they retired. Now, if you are lucky, you might get a 3 or 4% match against your contributions to a 401k. And plenty of companies have no problem saying, "We've had a bad year, so we can't do 401 contributions next year." Retirement is quickly becoming a myth in America. It's now, "Hopefully I can take a less stressful part-time job at some point." Gone are the days when someone was actually able to stop working entirely. There are more millionaires in America than ever before, but making it into the Millionaires Club is not what it once was, making many people feel their net worth is average. A wide-ranging survey of 800 wealthy individuals discovered that despite achieving considerable financial success, 2/3 do not consider themselves rich, including many with investable assets of more than $10 million. The survey, conducted this past September and October, asked how people view their wealth, what they value most, who they turn to for advice, and what keeps them up at night. The report also highlighted concerns over the loss in value of their investments due to inflation, geopolitical pressures, a volatile stock market, and the climate crisis affecting the value of their homes. Respondents of 2023 Wealth Survey concluded that an average net worth of $2.2 million would be considered wealthy in 2023, unchanged from 2022. But with a growing cost of living, that number may jump in 2024. The survey also highlighted that many Americans consider family strength and good health to be a measure of wealth. In fact, according to the data, 4 in 10 Americans define wealth in terms of well-being, while only 3 in 10 describe it in terms of money. Another interesting point was that the 2 youngest generations self-reported the highest levels of financial comfort. Roughly 6 in 10 millennials and 5 in 10 Gen Zers reported feeling wealthy, while only 4 in 10 Gen Xers and 4 in 10 baby boomers said the same. While the job market has been relatively beneficial to job seekers in the past months, a new survey found that a staggering 85% of Americans fear job loss in 2024. 69% of those surveyed believe that competition for jobs will increase in 2024, and nearly half predict a reduction in remote job openings. In addition, the surge of artificial intelligence is also a concern, with 78% of job seekers fearing job loss due to its growth in 2024. Persistent inflation and rising cost of living, the rise of AI, and the potential for increased automation and the growing gig economy all contribute to a large degree of uncertainty in regards to the job market in 2024. The survey also found that 62% expect the labor market will be more stressful than in previous years, and 40% surveyed predict that more people will suffer job burnout in 2024. Americans remain gloomy about the U.S. economy, even as GDP continues to expand and unemployment is at a 5-decade low. The disconnect is spurring some policy experts and economists to examine the root causes of the gap and to look beyond the nation's still elevated inflation. By many measures, the U.S. consumer remains in good shape. Most people who want a job have one, while wages are finally outpacing inflation. In 2023, the stock market rebounded from a brutal bear market in the prior year, bolstering the retirement and investment accounts of millions of Americans. One recent analysis from the Treasury found that Americans in 2023 could not only afford the same goods and services they did in 2019, they have an extra $1,000 on hand to save or spend because median earnings have increased faster than prices. Yet, if you ask Americans about the economy, most give it poor rating. About 6 in 10 people polled by CBS News said they rated the economy as fairly bad or very bad. There are 3 plausible explanations. The first is self-evident, that people truly find the current economy unsatisfactory. This could be due to unhappiness with the level of prices or dissatisfaction with long-standing structural issues like economic inequality and housing affordability. Nationally, households that make $652,657 are considered among the top 1%. They earn more than 8 times as much as the median household, which sits around $75,000. Comment down below on what you think, and if you like this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing.